Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our 2024 City of Pembroke Finance Administration Committee Public Budget Meeting. I'm Brian Abdallah, Chair of the Finance Committee and Deputy Mayor of Pembroke. We welcome everyone. Thank you for coming. And we'd like to say hello to everybody that's watching online on YouTube. Before I call this meeting to order, I'd like to read the land acknowledgement statement. As we gather today, I would respectfully acknowledge on behalf of Council and the community that the City of Pembroke resides on the unceded traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We thank the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. It is with this statement that we honor and respect the Algonquins on whose land we reside. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? Seeing none. We need approval of the agenda. There's a slight change to the agenda. We were going to have, after Ms. Lochty's presentation, we're going to have Councillors Keel, Purcell, and the Mayor speak. Everyone, and committee chairs, everyone will be allowed 1 minute for the opening. That's the only change. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda? Councillor Keel, second Councillor Purcell. Those in favor? Carried. This meeting has been called to consider the draft 2024 budget to establish annual fees to be charged for garbage collection and disposal, the waste management facility, to review the water and sewer rates, and to adopt the 2024 budgets for the City of Pembroke and local boards. Clerk, please report how notice was given, of the meeting was given.
A media release was posted on the city's website on December the 7th, 2023, and social media platforms on December the 8th, 2023. A notice was placed in the Pembroke Observer and News the week of December 17th, 2023, and again the week of December 28th, 2023. It was also posted on the bulletin board at City Hall on December the 7th, 2023. Due to the change in location of the meeting, notices were posted on the city's website, on the bulletin board at City Hall, and social media platforms on January 9th, 2024. Radio advertisements on both local radio stations were scheduled throughout the week of January 11th to the 14th, 2024.
Thank you. We will now ask our City Treasurer, Ms. Lochty, to present her report tonight of the draft budget.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Angela Lochty, and I'm the Treasurer and Deputy Clerk for the City of Pembroke. And tonight, I'm here to provide an overview of the city's 2024 budget. So our budget preparations started all the way back in August of last year with staff. In January, the Finance and Admin Committee met over 2 days on January 4th and 5th to deliberate the draft 2024 budget. So this is the first year of our new budget format where we take a break between deliberations to hold a public meeting. So certainly if you have any suggestions on how to make this process better next year, be sure to email us. So following this meeting, there will be one more day of deliberations on February 2nd, and we look to finalize and pass the budget on February 20th. So just by way of background, over my years in municipal budgeting, I sometimes get the impression that that people feel municipalities have a lot of flexibility when it comes to setting the annual budget. The reality is that municipalities are constrained by and operate under a long list of laws, regulations, rules, requirements, and agreements that we have to adhere to. So I'll go over a few of those tonight. So on this slide lists some, but certainly not all, the laws and regulations that we as a municipality must follow. So under the overarching Municipal Act at the top, the city must pass a balanced operating budget each year. When the province talks about balancing its own budget, it sometimes talks about their deficit or how many years it will take to balance their budget, but municipalities aren't allowed to do that. As a city, we have to balance our operating budget every year through property taxes based on our annual financial obligations after taking into consideration any grants or user fees that it may receive. And this is what our property tax levy, that's the amount we need to raise through taxes, and our property tax rates are calculated on. The different departments in the city are also subject to different laws and regulations that they have to adhere to. So for example, in my department, taxes have to be set in compliance with the Municipal Act, the Assessment Act, and a number of different regulations. The fire department must adhere to the Fire Protection and Prevention Act. In the roads department, roads must be maintained in accordance with Ontario's minimum maintenance standards, and bridges must be inspected and maintained in compliance with OSIM, Ontario's Structure Inspection Manual. When it comes to parks and facilities, the city must maintain these assets so that residents can use them safely, and there are many safety rules, codes, and regulations that must be followed under the Electrical Safety Authority, the Technical Standards and Safety Association, the Canadian Standards Association, and Ontario Public Health Standards, for example. And finally, building inspections have to be conducted in support of Ontario's building code. City planning must respect the Planning Act and the provincial policy statement. So the bottom line is we have to ensure that we have staff and budget to be able to meet all of these requirements that are set for us by the province. So as I mentioned, the Finance and Admin Committee has deliberated over 2 days. So where do we currently sit in terms of the city's 2024 draft budget? Following 2 days of deliberations, the budget now sits at a tax levy of about $24.6 million. So this is the amount of money the city will need to raise through taxes if approved by council. This represents a levy increase of 5.92% after growth, with growth representing roughly $100,000 of new revenue coming into the city this year. Certainly though, with the city being landlocked by Laurentian Valley, there are limits to growth within our city. The draft budget includes $30.4 million worth of capital projects, and the PBIA is currently looking at a 3.83% rate increase on a budget of roughly $206,000. When deliberations started, the city was at a 9.57% levy increase. Following a series of cuts, the city now sits at a 5.92% levy increase. So this change includes cuts to different departmental budgets, with no additional capital funding being included in the budget once again for 2024, as well as the closure of the pool, which I appreciate most people are here tonight to talk about, so we'll be getting into that in a little more detail at the end of the presentation. It's important to note that the city does not control a significant portion of its budget. When it comes to shared services, the province has dictated that the municipality must pay a share of the costs as it relates to Ontario Works, childcare, paramedical services within the city and county, social housing, homes for the aged, and our local health unit. So the province does pay a share of these costs, but these services are not fully funded by the province. And the city has to pay for its share to Renfrew County. For OPP services, the city must pay their share of costs to the Ontario Minister of Finance. The province does offer a grant to offset a portion of these costs as it relates to court security and prisoner transport, but the city must pay for OPP services monthly, as is set out in what's called an annual billing statement set by the province. And this statement breaks down costs into a fixed dollar amount per household across the province and a variable amount that's based on the city's 4-year average for calls for service. So while this service may seem expensive, it still costs the city less than having its own police force. So I've received feedback that we need to cut this budget, but the reality is that we can't. The city's share has been set by the province. Although it is important to note that City Council is still deliberating their 2024 budget, and the amounts presented in the slide are estimates. So I will circle back to the county before our final budget meeting to see if an update is available. So currently, in terms of the levy increase, $700,000 of that increase is related to shared services, which includes county shared services for the items I just mentioned, as well as the OPP contract for next year, the Renfrew County and District Health Unit, as well as other shared services with the Ottawa Valley Tourism Association and MPAC Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, as well as 911. When we look at our overall city budget versus inflation, we can see that the city budget overall has fallen and continues to fall slightly under Ontario CPI. So I have been asked if the city has undergone an efficiency or auditive services by an outside third party recently. So the city has undergone a number of reviews. Strategy Corp did an operational review of our operations department in 2015, as well as the administration, treasury, planning, building, and bylaw departments in 2016. And Dillon Consulting did a service delivery and modernization review in 2020. So these studies revealed that the city was either understaffed or had a very lean level of staff, and recommended a series of IT projects to help modernize city processes so that this level of staffing could be maintained. So the city has and continues to undertake a series of IT projects to do just that. And an updated modernization plan is included with every budget and was presented on day one. So as well, in 2023, as well as early 2024, city departments reviewed their user fees as a way to help manage tax increases, with many fees increased. So if we split the city's budget into areas of control, the city's draft operating budget increase of 1.4 million breaks down into roughly 700,000, or a 3.04% levy increase for areas not controlled by the city, and a 2.88% increase for the areas controlled by the city in terms of our different city departments. Overall, looking at approximately a $1.4 million increase, or a 5.92% levy increase. So if we look at some of the drivers behind this increase, again, we do have our shared services, driving the highest contribution to this increase. We have also seen increases to our salary, cost of living, and benefit price increases. We have been lagging behind other municipalities in terms of our annual compensation increases over the past several years. However, we have completed negotiation of new collective agreements with both our firefighters union and CUPE union, so we will begin to catch up on this starting in 2023, 24, and the next several years to come. Looking at staffing changes, we have hired a few additional staff just to meet demand. We have added funding for a warming center or social service reserve contribution, which is a temporary financing as we wait for the province of Ontario to fill the gap in addressing our homelessness situation in Pembroke. Due to the rising costs of fleet, we do need to contribute about $57,000 more to our fleet reserve to ensure we have the money needed when we need to replace these vehicles. Storm sewer will cost us an additional $51,000 this year, and this is a strategic priority as the city works on a long-term storm sewer management plan. The library is estimating an increase of almost $34,000. Offsetting some of these increases, if the city was to close the pool for the year, it's estimated that the savings would be roughly $220,000. We are seeing a bump in interest income earned from interest in our bank account of $164,000, but that is a temporary gain. We have received additional money from the province of about $62,000, with the remaining $11,000 due to other small items. So this next slide shows where your tax dollars go. So for every $1 of municipal taxes paid, 21 cents goes to the county and shared services, 19 cents goes to policing, 18 cents goes to road operations, 15 cents to fire protection, 13 to parks and rec, 8% goes to fund capital projects in our community, 3% goes to planning, building, and bylaw, 3 goes to just general government, and the final 2 goes to economic development and tourism. I have been asked about how this budget ties into the city's strategic plan. Our strategic plan includes items like staff engagement, attraction, and retention, infrastructure and facility renewals, including a decision about the pool, long-term financial planning, development of outdoor spaces, and economic development and growth. So looking at this list, This plan is more workload-driven than budgetary-driven, but I will include an update on this as part of the city's Day 3 deliberations. If we look at how this draft budget may increase taxes, we're currently looking at roughly a 6% levy increase. So this would work out for the average residential property to an increase of roughly $166 a year. The average multi-res property, $1,184 a year. An average commercial retail of $380 a year, and industrial $451 a year. And this slide also shows other scenarios if during the final day of deliberations the levy goes up or down. Couple points to make. One is that our 2024 tax ratios have not been set, and that basically differentiates taxes between the different classes. So that could change these numbers slightly if we do not use the same tax ratios as last year. And as well, the city uses the 2016 assessment from MPAC, and I certainly get lots of comments that the 2016 assessment does not reflect what homes are worth in the city of Pembroke now, but it is what taxes are based on. So regardless of what your home may be worth now, the city is still using the 2016 value to assess your property tax bill. If we look at our capital budget, as I mentioned earlier, we have planned for $30.4 million worth of capital projects this year, which break down $2.9 million in buildings, facilities, and parks, $8.4 million in roads, bridges, and stormwater, $1.2 million in the replacement of our fleet and our equipment, $11.5 million in sanitary sewer projects, and $6.4 million in water projects. How these projects will be financed, $8.6 million is carrying forward from 2023. We plan to take $6.4 million from reserves and reserve funds, and that's what reserves and reserve funds are there for, to try to manage our projects so that we don't see significant increases in any one year. We are expecting to receive about $400,000 in cost sharing and unfinanced items in anticipation of future budgets, because we do have to pre-order a plow, which we will not receive delivery until the following year. Capital financing includes $4.4 million worth of grants, and this does include the $1.7 million of funding that was recently announced by the province under their Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund grant, or OCIF. So this is money that's provided to the city every year, but the dollar amount can change from year to year. We are looking to incur about $6 million worth of debt for our Town Line Force Main project. We are looking to cover about $2 million worth of capital projects through tax dollars, and $2.6 million through our water and sewer rates. If we compare our capital financing that the capital financing that we take from taxation to contribute to capital projects and inflation, there certainly is a large gap. So since Q3 2020, the StatsCan Building Construction Index has increased by 37.1%, while the city's annual contribution to capital projects has been essentially frozen with a 0.7% increase over this same period. So at this point, our annual contribution lags behind inflation by an estimated $726,000, or a 3.15% levy increase that's not included in this year's draft budget. And we've been doing this over the past several years due to COVID and trying to keep our tax levy down. This is certainly going to have a long-term impact on our ability to renew our infrastructure if at some point we don't start increasing taxes to help fund our capital projects. And as we discuss later in our presentation, our city buildings face a significant funding shortfall over and above these inflationary pressures that we're facing right now. Looking quickly at our water and sewer budget, under Ontario's Safe Drinking Water Act, the city is required to prepare financial plans for its water systems to ensure sufficient revenue is generated to provide safe drinking water to our community. So in 2019-20, Watson and Associates Economists Limited prepared a financial plan and rate study for the city's water and sewer services based on the projected operating and capital requirements of these services over a 10-year study period. And the agreement reached between the city and the township of Laurentian Valley requires the city to base rate increases on this study. And a new rate study will be required for the 25 to 29 period. So in accordance with this study and with the legal requirements of Ontario's Safe Drinking Water Act, the 2024 draft budget for water services reflects a $5.2 million operating budget, a $6.4 million capital budget, a 5.7% increase to our flat water rates, and our 9.8% increase to metered water rates. And this is the same increases we've seen over the past several years. In terms of our sanitary sewer, we're looking at a $7.3 million operating budget and $11.5 million capital budget, a 5.2% increase to flat sewer rates, and a 6.9% increase to metered sewer rates. So in terms of what this means to the average residential taxpayer, average residential taxpayers can expect to pay $6.37 more per month for water and sewer in 2024. And if we look at our metered customers, a multi-residential property, 8-unit, can expect to pay $32.24 more per month. A commercial retail property can expect to pay $11.71 more per month. And an industrial small facility can expect to pay $14.22 more per month. So this brings us to a couple key city issues that we would like to update you on tonight. So we'll start now with the state of our city infrastructure. So Ontario Regulation 588-17, Asset Management Planning for Municipal Infrastructure, requires every municipality in Ontario to prepare an asset management plan under the following deadlines. So as of July 1st, 2022, the city had to prepare an asset management plan for core infrastructure assets, including water, wastewater, stormwater, roads, bridges, culverts. And within this, the plan for core assets must also include current levels of service and the cost to maintain these levels. Our next deadline is July 1st, 2024, where we have to look at all of our assets and levels of service, including our buildings and recreation facilities. And finally, based on this information, the final deadline on July 1st, 2025 is to pull all of this together in terms of what types of levels of service we want to provide and to have a financial strategy, to pay for this plan in the long term. So currently, if we look at our road conditions, we own and maintain 99.1 kilometers of roadway. Our average pavement condition index for the entire road network is rated as 63 or fair condition, and this does not include all 2023 capital projects. And more information on funding levels and projected pavement conditions will be provided as part of future asset management reports. But we wanted to let you know today about where we sit in terms of what our overall road conditions are in the city. If we take the same approach with our sidewalks, we own and maintain 66 kilometers of sidewalk, and our average sidewalk condition is rated as a 76 or good. And again, this doesn't include all 2023 capital projects, but certainly to reduce potential liability, we are looking to increase the amount of money we're putting towards sidewalks in 2024 and essentially doubling our budget from $124,800 to $243,000 in 2024. And again, we'll provide better information on where our conditions are headed overall in future asset management reports. Looking at some of the key buildings of the city, the PMC. The PMC was built in 1951. It is 72 years old and it's rated in fair condition. In terms of its immediate capital priorities, the city needs to spend about $7 million, and that's pre-COVID pricing, over the next 5 years to maintain the facility, as well as an additional $4.5 million between the next 6 to 20 years. Certainly some priorities for that facility include the addition of a sprinkler system, building automation and a dehumidifier in 2025. In 2026, looking at replacing the elevator, the siding on the building, the chiller, upgrading the seating, the sound system, and the ice resurfacer, over $2 million. In 27-28, replacing the plumbing and the overflow parking lots. And in 2031, replacing heater, dasher boards, and glazing, or the glass around the rink, at $650,000. And again, these are pre-COVID estimates, and the what other municipalities' costs are when they're looking at replacing these different items is actually much more than what we have on this slide, as this report was done before COVID pricing really took effect. If we look at our Pembroke and Area Community Center, again, we assessed this building in 21-22. It was built in 1977, and it's 46 years old. It's rated in good condition, but it does have about $2 million worth of immediate capital priorities that we need to upgrade in the building, as well as an additional $3.5 million of upgrades needed in the next 6 to 20 years. And again, for that building, in 2025, it's recommended to replace the siding. In 2026, to add a sprinkler system. In 2028, to replace the refrigerated floor slab. And in 2030, to replace the boards and glass. So just these two buildings alone, when you consider that historically the city's been funding about $200,000 a year on capital projects for rec facilities, leaves us with a funding gap of $13 million. If we look at our other city buildings, we do have quite an inventory of older buildings, including City Hall, the Pembroke Public Library, and Victoria Hall, as well as the need to replace our water tower, which is estimated to be about a $7.8 million replacement. And we still have a number of facilities to assess, and we're just waiting on some final reports for that. But that would include some of our newer facilities, the fire hall and the OPP station, as well as our buildings located at Riverside Park and the marina. So currently, the lack of capital funding means that the city is not able to complete age-related replacements of building components. And this can lead to the deterioration of assets to the point of replacement as opposed to repair, or a decreased lifespan of the different assets in the building, both of which can cost us more money. Or it can also lead to the loss of service, as we're seeing now with the Kinsman pool. In the short term, obviously, we don't have all of the funding available to replace everything that's been recommended for every building that we own. So certainly as a city, we have to adopt a risk-based approach to asset renewal and prioritize replacement of the different components of the buildings on a life safety, service delivery, and asset condition priority matrix. We need to consider debt or alternate financing options to pay for major capital repairs or replacements of facilities in the short term. And we need to start budgeting for building reserves and capital contingencies to fund unexpected asset failures and unbudgeted emergency repairs. But essentially, in the long term, we do need to increase the amount of capital funding that's available to close the gap and be able to repair and replace our aging facilities as needed. So this brings us to the Kinsman pool. So the Kinsman pool was constructed in 1956 as an outdoor pool. And in 1972, the pool was enclosed with a pre-engineered Butler building. And between 1972 and 1977, the pool underwent extensive renovations. And the city has undertaken 4 structural reviews since 2016 to assess the condition and continued safety of this facility. So it was built in 1956. It's about 67 years old now. In terms of the immediate capital priorities that have been identified, the city needs to spend about $1.4 million, and the building condition is considered to be in critical condition right now. As a bit of context, on average, looking at the years 2016, 17, 18, 19, and 2022, there were over 2,000 users who registered for programs each year for this facility, with about 48% coming from the city of Pembroke, about 34% coming from Laurentian Valley and 18% from other areas, which might include residents of Whitewater, Petawawa, and Quebec. A 2016 structural review recommended the replacement of the pool's wall and roof structures, and follow-up reviews in 2018 and 2021 reiterated this requirement. So these reviews strongly recommended the immediate replacement of the roof panels, wall panels, and girts of the pool enclosure. So during this time, the recommended work was not completed, with maintenance and repairs occurring on an emergency basis only due to its possible replacement. And since this point in time, the city has been working to try to replace the facility. So grant applications were made in 2019 and 20, as well as 2022-23, to help provide funding for the replacement of this building, but these applications were not successful. And as we'll see, in 2023, the city did pre-qualify a short list of vendors to design build a new facility, but we've not been able to obtain financial support from partners to help finance the project. So in terms of the 2023 structural review, in 2023, an engineer from HP Engineering was hired to perform another structural review of the Kinsman pool. So this report was received in late fall after the parts had already been ordered for the pump, and this report recommended a series of immediate repairs required to the structure alongside additional work that's required for the next 2 to 5 years, which I outline on the next slide. So as supported by a review by the Ministry of Labor, the Kinsman pool could only remain open on a short-term basis with a series of safety precautions required, which includes the closure of the facility during all types of significant weather events, be it snow, wind, or rain, and only while immediate repairs were being addressed. So I can certainly appreciate that closing the pool was very sudden and very disappointing, but I have to reiterate that it takes leadership to ensure safety, and no service is more important than the overall safety of our residents, our users, and our employees. No service is more important than that. So the latest structural review recommends a series of immediate repairs that are required to the structure, along with additional work required in the next 2 to 5 years. So in terms of immediate repairs, just over $1 million is recommended to replace the roof, walls, localized repairs of the columns and beams at roughly $1,015,000. And in the administration building, to seal and replace the roof and replacement of drywall ceiling in the men's change room, as well as replacing the guardrail on the entrance ramp. And over the next 2 to 5 years, the pool enclosure requires a repair or replacement of the end wall frame, as well, and the administration building requires repairs to the entrance canopy, retaining wall, concrete walls, and floors. So if we look at our operating budget, at the January 5th budget deliberation meeting, Council approved the immediate closure of the pool with minimum maintenance in 2024 pending feedback from the expression of interest process regarding a possible public-private partnership for a new recreation multiplex. The 2024 budget has been outlined in the table below, with the Laurentian Valley revenue impact to only occur in 2025 because we always operate a year behind with Laurentian Valley. So as part of our 2023 budget, the total net cost to operate the pool, which is funded through taxation, was $312,000. The 2024 draft budget, assuming that the pool would be operating all year, started at $367,906. With the closure of the pool, the revised budget is $214,081. And this is so that we're not going to completely close the pool. We're still going to keep, I think, water in the pool, which requires operator maintenance. So we will take questions at the end. And the water has to stay in the pool so the basin doesn't pop out of the structure. So in terms of the aquatic center, an update on that. So we have been working on trying to replace the pool over the past 5+ years, and we have undertaken a number of activities. So in 2019 and 20, the city applied to its first grant application, which was unsuccessful. We did conduct some research in 2019 to assess overall community support for the pool, which was favorable, and received feedback from the YMCA on possible facility components. It's important to keep in mind that 2020 was COVID, and we certainly lost a bit of momentum on this project during that time period. In 2021, the city hired Colliers as a project management consultant to oversee the project and consider due diligence, procurement, and project management. In 2022, it was an election year. The city did move forward with a second grant application, which we did not hear back from until this year, and we were unsuccessful. We hired BNP Goldie to complete a fundraising campaign planning study and feasibility study, and we did research 3 possible locations for a new aquatic center. In 2023, we chose a preferred site for a new aquatic center. We pre-qualified vendors to bid on a design build for a new facility. We did learn that our grant application was unsuccessful, and we were unsuccessful in securing partnerships with other municipalities. So I will say that during this time period from 19 up to 2023, there was numerous discussions to attempt to get support from other municipalities. So certainly now, in considering the state of infrastructure for some of our other facilities, which includes the PMC, a P3 approach was raised by council and is now under consideration. So as mentioned in 2024, the draft budget includes ongoing project management to replace the facility. The city is planning to move forward with an expression of interest process for a possible P3 public-private partnership. If any proposals are received, the city will go through a rigorous feasibility study to ensure that any proposal has a cost benefit to it. And we also will need to look at, if there are valid proposals, a possible location for this new multiplex site. So under this current process, we will look to complete the EOI in May this year and evaluate the feasibility of any proposals received over a 4 to 6 month period, which will bring us to the end of the year. At the same time, we will be looking at possible locations with council, looking to have a go, no-go decision from council either at the end of 2024 or 2025. We will need to gather some room data sheets, so that would be more information that's needed for procurement before moving ahead with a formal procurement process and then a design build. So it is estimated, depending on the scope and how many different services would be offered under a P3. Is it an arena? How many pads? The pool? Is there other services that might be considered as part of the P3? Construction may take anywhere between 3 to 5 years, depending on the scope of work. Currently, under council's current decision, we would look to make a go, no-go on the Kinsman pool repair at the end of the year. It would take likely 3 quarters to repair the pool and then possibly operate it while a new facility is being built. If we look at replacing the aquatic center and not moving forward with a P3 partnership with a private company, this slide shows the impact to the city taxpayers. So currently it's estimated to replace the pool would take would have a project cost of roughly $23.8 million. If the city was to obtain money from the Township of Laurentian Valley to finance this project, if we were to take money, we have been saving some money in reserves for this project, as well as receiving an estimated $2 million in outside donations and partnerships. This project would cost taxpayers, we'd have to take a loan out for $13.7 million, and this would mean a $921,000 loan repayment every year that would be added to the tax base. So considering that we already have some money in the budget for a new facility, we'd be looking at a future levy increase of 2.9%. If the city was not successful in obtaining any support from other municipalities and had to fund this project solely on our own, we would have to take out debt of $2.3 million. This would mean an annual debt repayment of almost 1.3, almost $1.4 million, and a 4.8% levy increase to taxpayers for this one facility. So we have been in discussions with key stakeholders, including the Township of Laurentian Valley, Whitewater Township, and the town of Petawawa to obtain design input and our support for the project. So while stakeholders have provided input into the features of a new facility and letters of support, no financial commitments have been made. And Laurentian Valley did indicate to us that further feedback on financial support would only be made once the city decides to move forward with a new project. In November of 2022, we did retain BNP Goldie to complete a campaign planning and feasibility study of the area's capacity for fundraising. So surveys and interviews were conducted with local businesses and key stakeholders, and the study did approximate that there was a local capacity for fundraising for this new facility, upwards of $2 million. So if we look at the overall affordability of this project, without grants from higher levels of government, but with a contribution from TLV or other partners, the replacement of the Kinsman pool is estimated to increase the tax levy by $900,000, and again, a 2.9% levy increase. Without partnerships, again, the impact to the taxpayer will be roughly 4.8%. And both scenarios are significantly more money than what taxpayers are currently paying for the older facility. So that ends my presentation, and I will pass it back to the chair.
Thank you, Ms. Lodgety. Thank you very much. We now ask that chairs of the council standing committees plus our councillors provide their comments. Due to time limits, I'd ask that they limit them to a minute each. I have a few words to say at the beginning. Once again, as Chair of the Finance Committee, welcome to our public meeting regarding this year's budget. On behalf of City Council, I want to thank department directors, managers, and staff under the leadership of our Treasurer, Ms. Lodgety, for preparing the 2024 budget. I'd also like to introduce Mr. Jordan DeRoche, Chair of Parks and Recreation, or Director of Parks and Recreation, Mr. Dave Unruh, CEO of the City of Pembroke, in addition to Ms. Lodgety to our right here. Thank you. Thank you also for preparing the budget and organizing the meeting tonight. We are looking forward to a positive and cordial discussion regarding the budget and the Kinsman pool. We are here to listen to your feedback. I'd like to address the pressures that we are facing with the 2024 City of Pembroke budget. We understand that these are difficult times, and we are committed to ensuring that we continue to provide the best possible services to our residents while keeping the budget in check. We are facing several changes and challenges with the budget, as Ms. Lodgety has already highlighted, including shared services with the County of Renfrew, OPP, new collective agreements with staff and firefighters, post-COVID inflation, aging infrastructure, Kinsman pool, warming center, and other budget pressures. We are working hard to find ways to mitigate these challenges and keep the budget in check, as I mentioned before. However, we cannot do this alone. We need your help and support to move forward and continue to build our community. We must work together in a positive, respectful manner to overcome these challenges and ensure that we can provide the best possible services to our residents. We welcome your feedback and input as we navigate these challenges together. We are committed to being transparent and accountable in our budgeting process, and we will keep you informed every step of the way. We are here to listen and learn and work together. Thank you for your continued support. I'd like to call on the Chair of the Operations Committee, Councillor Plummer.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So I think this is a bit of an eye-opener for most of everyone seeing the presentation today. There's many challenges that the city faces on a regular basis, as with roads and infrastructure. Some highlights we can say, though, we are increasing our sidewalks, making a more walkable city. And then one challenge we did have is cutting capital. You saw with the one slide, we had to cut almost $300,000 or 1.5% out of the capital budget just to keep our taxes at a reasonable level that I hope that the city of Pembroke can move forward and understand that these councillors, we all do our best in every day trying to keep things in line and try not to, and be respectful in every tax dollar we spend. Thanks.
Thank you. I'd like to call on Chair of the Parks and Rec Committee, Ms. Lafreniere.
Come on, you know my name, Brian.
Councillor Pat Lafreniere.
Good evening. I want to thank every one of you in the room for attending tonight's meeting. Pembroke has always been a recreational hub for the entire region, and generations of families have utilized its programs and services over many decades. Trying to deliver a balanced budget each year has been increasingly challenging, providing fire and police protection, safe drinking water, sewage treatment plants, improving our roads, bridges, sidewalks. It all comes with a hefty price tag. And although our asset management plan forecasts future expenditures for most of those services and has regular contributions to reserves each year, recreation was not included in that process. Unfortunately, our recreational facilities have aged with little or no reserves created because dollars were needed in the core services of our municipality. Recreation was looked at as a soft service. That being said, we still allocated budget dollars every year to improve our parks and facilities, and I want to commend the Parks and Recreation staff and the management for working hard to support these services. For close to 10 years, we realized we would either need a new pool or invest significant dollars to repair the existing one. And although, as it was outlined tonight, we did explore options for a new pool, many obstacles kept coming in the way, including a huge increase in the cost, lack of funding, and lack of partnership interest. I realize many of you here tonight have already reached out to City Council, and some of you who do not live in the city have contacted your own municipal leaders, and that's appreciated. It is important that we do listen to you, our residents, and consider your needs while considering what course of action to take. And it is something we do take seriously, and your comments tonight will be heard. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to call on comments from the Chair of Planning and Development Committee, Councillor Giacono.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And thank you, everybody, for coming. And your time's just as valuable as anyone else's. I appreciate it. I've followed some of the comments on Facebook, much to my chagrin, having been personally attacked for just trying to do a good job. I'm not ashamed of that. I've been called an old-timer. Well, maybe I am an old-timer. But I also have a great respect for the pool and the facility. I swam there for 15 years, 3 mornings a week. I swam the Ottawa River to raise money for disabled children. So I know the value of the pool in the community. I also know the value of the appreciation that the taxpayer has when we try and keep the taxes down a little bit. A lot of people are on fixed incomes. It isn't just people that are working, that have families that want to go somewhere. I have a family of grandchildren, they want to use the pool too. I understand that. Can't have everything. What we are is a regional facility. Well, you may not like to hear that, but so be it. But we are a regional facility, and a regional facility needs government money. When the provincial government runs a deficit, they just print more money. But we, under the Municipal Act, have to come in balanced. We cannot be 1 cent over, 1 cent under. So where is the fairness there? So talk to your members of parliament. We need money. This is a regional facility. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a reminder, 1 minute asked because of the timelines tonight. Councillor Purcell.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge everyone that's in attendance today, and thank you for attending and your interest in the deliberations of the budget for 2024 and those watching on Cogeco. I'd also just like to acknowledge staff for the hard work in terms of putting this budget together for 2024 and their input throughout our deliberations. It's very much appreciated. As you see through the presentation tonight, you know, we as a community have some tough decisions to make, not only this year, but future years. Escalating costs of doing business substantially increased. We have increased in labor rates, material costs, county transfer payments in terms of our shared services for paramedics, county services, long-term care, Renfrew County District Health Unit, increases in our water and sewer costs. And to boot, we have dwindling ability to populate our reserves. Our reserves are depleting, aging infrastructure, we see by the pool, buildings that require maintenance. You know, we have 2 rec facilities in terms of our rinks that require substantial investments over the next 5 years, to the tune of about $13 million. And also 4 buildings that are in desperate need of work. We have leaking roofs in our City Hall building that needs repair. It's been years of neglect that need to be looked at. And I think it's really, really important, you know, that we look at and work together in terms of how we can plan our way out of this. There's no easy solution. Our ratepayers cannot afford substantial increases this year, next year, the year after. This is long-term. We're talking 5% just in terms of some of the basic needs for this community going forward, not including the replacement of some of these recreation facilities. I know it's disappointing. I'm disheartened as well. We need to work together to come up with solutions. We also need time to do that. There are other opportunities in terms of funding opportunities. One is the Trillium grant that opens up in February. Maybe there's an opportunity to utilize $200,000 of those dollars, if we're successful, to assist us to move forward. But, you know, I think we got to look at the bigger picture and make sure that we truly understand, you know, the status of our facilities and buildings and that they're in disrepair. Aging infrastructure. I hear people, and believe me, I'm disappointed. I believe in the recreation opportunities that we have, and I strongly believe in the values that they bring to a community. But you know, you can't fix a pool when your roof is leaking and your foundation is crumbling in your home. You don't run your home budget that way. You can't run a city that way. We have core services that we're responsible for, and without, you know, substantially raising taxes through levy fees, it's not possible. We only had 0.5% of growth last year, 0.5% of growth. That related, I think the treasurer said it was $100,000. I think it relates to about $180,000 in terms of growth. There's no new dollars that are coming in terms of levies. So we have some difficult decisions to make, and again, I thank you for, you know, your passion. We need to continue the discussions, and we need to come up with solutions, not only for the pool, but in terms of how we're going to do the repairs and look at a longer-term recreation resources for this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Purcell. Councillor Keel?
Run for council, they said. It'll be fun, they said. Look, it's we're in a tough spot, and I thank the treasurer for communicating that with you all during the presentation. I know, you know, there were some heads nodding, there were some groans, and you know, everyone has an opinion, and the reason they have that opinion is because they're in this city and they expect things from the city while they're living here. At the end of the day, the only thing that I'm going to suggest is, because this is a public meeting, we are where we are, and Lord knows I can criticize fellow councillors around this table, but really at the end of the day, the question is, where do we go from here? If everybody wants a new pool, we can build one, and you saw what the tax increase would be. If we want to fix the current pool, we can do that, and I can tell you as early as this afternoon, the treasurer put out a proposal, and I know some proposals have been flying amongst all of us. The one thing that I would say to all of you is, I actually think this is somewhat of a unique situation, in that I can tell you that you're looking at 7 people that all want a pool in one form or another. most of the time you would get at least a couple people that might not even think a pool is worthwhile. But there's 7 people up here that want one. The question is how we get there. So it's going to need community support. It's going to need some support from some of our neighboring municipalities. And the last thing that I'll leave you with is whether you want a new pool or whether you want to fix the Kinsman pool. There's a lot of people out there saying that for 1.4 million, we can fix Kinsman pool and it'll last for 45 years. 1.4 million gets you a new roof and a wall around Kinsman pool. It doesn't, thanks, Brian. It doesn't tell us how long the basin's going to last. It doesn't tell you what I found out Thursday when I toured the pool, which is that apparently the decking around the pool is shifting on an annual basis. Were we in the same spot last year and we put up a new roof and shell, I figure that probably would complete around August or September, which would have been just in time for that pump to fail in October. And then you all would have been looking at us saying, you just put a $1.4 million roof on and the pool's now closed again. So I want to hear from you, and I'll stay here all night if need be. But the only thing that I'm warning you is sometimes choices have consequences, and if we fix the old pool, we still have an old pool. We just have a new roof.
Mayor Gervais?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good evening, everyone. This is certainly a new part of the budget process, and it is a public meeting, and so really we're here to hear from you, and certainly I look forward to that. Just a couple highlights, and so certainly council members have already said a number of these different points, but I do think that some of them are worth repeating. So certainly there is only one taxpayer. And so at the end of the day, it's what we can afford, and that's usually the tact or the approach that I come forward with. And I do want to echo the chair's comments in terms of thanking staff. As you can appreciate from looking at the presentation and so forth, this isn't something lightly, and we do this every year. So every year we start from scratch with staff looking at a budget line by budget line. Chairs and vice chairs meet with their different departments to try and bring forward the best possible budget, and then we go from there looking for cuts, looking for how it is that we can make the budget balance, as Councillor Giacono has said. Certainly, we can't go it alone, and so there is application for various grants, but there are certain funds that aren't guaranteed to us, and certainly we go to see different ministers and we keep advocating for some certainty in some of the federal and provincial funding, and there's also partnerships with other municipalities, including Township of Laurentian Valley. Last term, we had the new agreement with water and sewer, and it's full cost recovery. So the numbers you're seeing in terms of water and sewer could have been a whole lot worse, but it was proactive, working with other municipalities and thinking regionally as opposed to just the city of Pembroke. Certainly, COVID hadn't been kind to us. I don't think it's been kind to any single one of us, but it hasn't been kind when we're trying to budget for things and we're trying to even purchase a truck, and it takes 2 years to get the truck. So certainly there's that aspect as well. And we haven't sat idle, so certainly you've seen this past year. In fact, I've received lots of complaints in terms of the amount of work that we were doing, and the complaints in terms of Nelson Street, Pembroke Street. Well, that's us trying to get streets up to snuff, and you saw in the report the comments about that. And we've constructed a new fire building, a new OPP building. So certainly we've been not sitting on our hands. We have been trying to work forward to get certain things done. I am truly appreciative, so this is a public meeting, but I'm truly appreciative of everyone that has reached out to not only me, I have no doubt reached out to every council member and reached out to the council members of your corresponding municipalities, because that is huge. And I know that some members have talked about setting up fundraising groups and so forth, and I think every single one of us are open to that kind of a discussion. Certainly I've talked to some about a not-for-profit corporation trying to get into Delta Bingo, and should it fall to you? No. Okay, I know you all pay taxes and it shouldn't fall to you, but we have to work together, which is what I started with. I would end with this is due to, and I very much thank the individuals that belong to the Township of Laurentian Valley, due to your lobbying efforts. Certainly I've had a conversation with Mayor Bennett in respect to repairs to the current facility, and he is very supportive of that. So should council change its direction. He has indicated that he would take it to council, but he's one vote, just as I'm one vote among all of our members. But certainly, if that was the indication, he has indicated to me that he's very supportive. And I said if that was the case, I'd certainly be looking to him for some funding, because we do, as expressed before, have a recreation agreement. We do work with Township of Laurentian Valley, which, as one former councillor used to say, surrounds us, but we must work together as a region. But everything that staff have said is correct. We've had countless meetings about trying to build a new building, and not one municipality wants to assist, so it's really on us and how it is that we go about seeking alternative financing. So thank you, Mr. Chair, for this opportunity, and look forward to hearing from all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Sherby. At this point, I would like to ask the treasurer if any questions or comments were received from the public.
Yes. So, sorry. 17 people submitted either emails or letters or through the public feedback form on our website. 10 were disappointed about the closure and asked for it to be reconsidered. 7 indicated a need to repair the existing facility. 1 indicated the need for a new pool. 2 asked a variety of questions, so I will get back to them individually. And 1 was strongly against a 5.92% tax increase, looking instead for a 2% tax increase.
Thank you. At this point in the meeting, we will hear from our members of the public who have registered to address the Finance Administration Committee members. As we would like to enable anyone who wishes to address committee members, we ask that everyone limit their comments to 3 minutes each. Staff will be timing, and after 2 minutes, we'll raise a yellow flag. At the 3-minute mark, a red flag will be raised. And at the 5-minute, this isn't in there, there's no 4-minute flag or 5 minutes, so 3 minutes each, we only have so much time. If time permits, we will invite anyone in the audience who wishes to address the committee to come forward. If we run out of time, we would ask those who wish to submit their comments in writing via email to pembroke@pembroke.ca or via Canada Post, or drop off your correspondence at City Hall during normal business hours, or drop it off into the night deposit slot, or stay and speak with committee members following the meeting. All members of the audience are asked and expected to respect the decorum. I know I don't have to read this out, but it's in here. Refraining from speaking during the meeting and not entering into individual debates. We ask that no individual speak disrespectfully or heckle or use unparliamentary language or disobey the rules of procedure or a decision of the chair or the council. The use of display signs or placards or applause and or heckling is considered disruptive. But I know we don't have to go through that. I would ask that those who have registered to address committee, once I've called your name, to rise, move to the podium, state your name, address, and proceed with your comments. Excuse me. I'd like to remind everyone that due to the number of participants, as I mentioned before, we only have 3 minutes each, and we are all available to talk after. I would like first to call Denise Corvo to come forward, list your address, and provide your comments. Megan Conway, I would ask that you come forward following Ms. Corvo's comments.
I live on Elizabeth Street. I've been there since 1987, and I think the pool is a priority. I would like to suggest the construction of a new swimming pool where the old one has been. It is a good location. The students of several elementary schools and a high school can walk to it. Many families can walk to it, not necessitating a vehicle. A swimming pool is essential to a city with this surrounding area to teach children to swim. It is a life-saving skill. As well, it is good exercise and beneficial to all ages. Population cannot wait 5 to 7 years for a pool. A generation of children will miss out, and we won't get the important training of lifeguards and swimming instructors. Yes, the arenas are old, but they're not broken or closed. As well, I feel that if we replace one thing at a time, there's less chance of delays and problems. Let's keep it simple.
Thank you, Ms. Corvo. I'd ask that Megan Conway come forward, list your address, and provide your comments. Debbie Timpson, I ask that you come forward following Ms. Conway's comments.
Thank you. I want to start my remarks today firstly by acknowledging and thanking each of the members of council for your service. Stepping into public service in this way is not easy, and there are difficult decisions to be made that require a series of trade-offs, deliberation, and consideration. And I just want to say before I start, recreation is core. My name's Megan Conway. I am a resident of the city of Pembroke. I'm a mother of two school-age children. I live on Irving Street. I need to follow instructions. I'm a former lifeguard and swimming instructor. I have spent the majority of my professional life working in the social purpose sector, advancing causes and issues that improve the well-being of citizens. I also hold a PhD in urban planning, and I'm here today as a convener of the Friends of the Pembroke and Area Community Pool Group, a group of concerned citizens from Pembroke, Laurentian Valley, Bonnechere Valley, and Whitewater who have come together to mobilize and creatively find solutions to address the short-term and longer-term goal and vision of an aquatic center that is accessible and available now. This group involves representatives who have a shared interest in creating accessible recreation and, most importantly, access to a pool. This group is prepared to fundraise and mobilize to support the short-term and longer-term interests of the pool. I'm passionate about the importance of water safety and, more importantly, accessible recreation. Access to recreation is one of the social determinants of health. In 2019, pre-pandemic, the pool served 24,000 patrons, no small number. Our community pool promotes well-being and enables a cradle-to-grave activity. I'm very hopeful that members of council will work towards finding a fiscally responsible solution to reopening the pool with identified repairs as soon as possible. As members of council are aware, Pembroke faces a number of competing socioeconomic challenges. We have an aging population and compounding social and health challenges. We have high rates of poverty and higher than average rates of unemployment. Access to a pool enables people from all walks of life with basic, cost-effective recreation in ways that prevent disease and promote well-being. I'd like to address three main points in the remainder of my time: community, consultation, and collaboration, three values that should be guiding the decisions and actions by the City of Pembroke. Firstly, community. A pool is an asset like rinks, parks, streets, and sewers. It is an upstream intervention in building community. It is accessible and helps build life skills, networks, and knowledge. 2, consultation. I would urge council to engage in more focused community consultation on its plans. Community consultation is central to good planning. Community members can help advance new solutions to problems. The community group identified is willing to assist as partners to solutions. Further conversations have begun with Pembroke and Petawawa Community Foundation to serve as a charitable partner. We could also investigate things like community bonds. There are a range of solutions. Thirdly, collaboration. We need a bigger and longer-term vision for recreation and well-being across our communities. Business partners might be able to offer collaborative solutions through pro bono labor for the repairs identified. In summary, I would implore council to answer the following, or to consider the following 5 recommendations. 1, utilize a portion of the aquatic reserve for the immediate pool repairs. 2, consider engaging a third party to itemize and cost the immediate repairs to the pool and articulate the proposed length of time these repairs would support. 3, renegotiate the recreation service agreement for better long-term recreation planning. 4, task staff to identify other revenue streams to support the operation of the pool in the short and long term while these longer-term P3 solutions are being explored. And 5, begin working with the above-mentioned community group to advance innovative solutions to enable the pool to remain open. I appreciate the challenges facing council, especially in times of constraint, and I firmly believe that solutions can be found. Pembroke and area has the capacity to do hard things and solve complex problems. I'm optimistic about the good will that I have identified. Thank you for your time.
Debbie Timpson, you're already at the podium. List your address and provide your comments. Dan Callahan, I ask that you come forward following Debbie Timpson's comments.
I'd like to thank the council and mayor for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you, and I wanted to thank Mayor Jerva, Deputy Mayor Abdullah, and councillors Jacquinot, Lafreniere, and Purcell for reaching out to me and educating me about the pool closure. I've been a resident of Pembroke for 24 years. I live on Supple Street. I swam regularly during the early morning lap swim. I am part of the group that Megan just mentioned, which is exciting to be able to work collaboratively with the council. When my husband and I were deciding where we would move to for work, I can guarantee you that we would not have moved to Pembroke if there was no public pool here. Similarly, having no pool here would be detrimental to the recruitment of potential colleagues and others who may choose to live elsewhere where their recreational needs can be met, and this could negatively impact the tax base. I'm a specialist in physical medicine and rehabilitation. A major part of my role is to help my patients optimize their quality of life. Swimming provides a low-impact way to exercise, so it's one of the safest ways to improve flexibility and strength without damaging muscles and joints. For those who swim laps, it can also provide an excellent cardiovascular workout, improving the function of the heart and lungs. As such, I frequently encourage my patients to use the pool in order to prevent health problems or to optimize recovery following fractures, joint surgery, TIA, strokes, and so on. To lose our only public pool will be extremely detrimental to the health of our residents, and I feel obligated to advocate for them. Waiting until the autumn to see if there is any interest in a public-private partnership to build a new recreation complex before deciding on whether to repair the Kinsman pool just doesn't make sense to me. If an investor is found and repair is not done at all, we would have no pool for many years, and that is unacceptable. If no investor is found and a decision is therefore made to repair the pool, we would still be without a pool for an additional 9 months, which seems like an unnecessary delay. I understand that repairs would extend the life of the pool by about 20 years, which would allow more time for robust planning and fundraising for a replacement facility. I believe immediate repairs would cost in the range of $1.2 to $1.4 million, and at some point other repairs would be needed. It would be good to have some further estimates to know if these projections are accurate and to have timelines for them. I was wondering if there were cost savings given that the pool is non-operational, and I see that it was $220,000, and could that money be put towards future repairs? I was also informed that there is a reserved fund for emergencies. I believe that specifically for the pool alone, there is a $700,000 reserve. Can these reserve funds be accessed? After all, we currently have a pool structure where the roof might cave in. To me, that would meet the definition of an emergency. I don't understand all the issues that the council has to deal with when creating the budget, although it was a great summary. But I implore you to do whatever needs to be done to get the Kinsman pool reopened as quickly as possible. And I thank you for your work on our behalf, and we're happy to work with you as well. This pool is not a luxury, but a basic necessity and one our community needs.
Thank you. Dan Callahan? And I would ask after Dan Callahan, Beatrice Nayduk will be speaking.
Thank you, and good evening, and allowing me this opportunity to speak with you this evening. It's a wonderful forum, and you're to be commended for it. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the fine folks that work for our city. You do an amazing job, and I'm just proud to call Pembroke my home. But I'm here this evening to ask you to reconsider the closure of the Kinsman pool. While it is important to provide services such as roads and sewers, policing, fire protection services, etc., it is also very important that we provide cultural services like Festival Hall, Pembroke Public Library, heritage murals, the Ottawa Valley Cultural Centre, and recreational services such as the indoor and outdoor rinks, tennis courts, splash pads, and of course the Kinsman pool. Why are these important? These facilities are part of what makes our city the kind of place that we all enjoy. Makes it a vibrant community. Not too long ago, the CAO from the Pembroke Regional Office appeared before council, and she was asked what the city could do to attract and retain physicians. Her answer was provide cultural and recreational services such as our pool, so that doctors and nurses and their families want to live and work and raise their families here, just like we do. The same can be said about attracting new businesses and new families who want to bring their employees and families to our community. Not only does this increase jobs, but increases our tax base. So you can see saving this pool is more than just swimming lessons, therapy, or recreation for young and old alike. It's about growth and the well-being of all. I do believe the money to keep this facility open while we go forward with a new facility is warranted. I respectfully ask that you consider putting $2.1 million back into the budget and keep this facility open. I also ask that you consider placing funds in our budgets to start the design phase, or what is referred to as shovel-ready, for a new facility, and that fundraising and grant efforts begin as soon as possible. I'm quite confident that my fellow citizens and neighbors will be in support of you, and I think you can see that here tonight. I would ask that my friends and neighbors and municipal representatives in the communities around us support the continued use of Kinsman Pool and any grant and fundraising for our new facility. As a ratepayer, I know you struggle to balance the budget and keep rate increases managed, but I truly believe that this facility and service are worth saving until we have a new facility in place. And once again, I want to thank you for this opportunity, and I want to thank you for your service towards the citizens of Pembroke. Thank you.
Thank you. Beatrice Nayduk, and then we have Karen Walsh speaking, following Ms. Nayduk's comments.
Ooh. Masks and glasses do not go together. I would like to thank Mayor Gervais and the council for allowing me the opportunity to share my views about the closure of the Kinsman Pool. I am an 84-year-old senior citizen. I've been swimming since the age of 5, and this is a necessary part of my life. When I was considering moving to Pembroke 2 years ago to live closer to family, I came and checked things out. A pool was not only a top priority, but a must. I would not have moved here without access to a pool, as swimming keeps this old lady in working order. I have lived in many places in Ontario, some quite small, and have always had access to a pool. I usually swim in the 11:30 to 1 p.m. time slot, and it is quite busy. This helps alleviate some of my aches and pains and keeps me mobile. It isn't easy as an elderly person to move to a new place, but regularly swimming has also allowed me to meet others and has helped me to feel a sense of connection to the community. One can well imagine my shock when I was informed on January the 5th that the pool was closing without warning. I can understand the closing based on liability issues, but I would have thought that tax dollars would have already been used for ongoing upkeep and repairs to the pool to maintain its integrity. It had never crossed my mind that when swimming laps, I should have been looking up at the ceiling to see if it was going to come crashing down on my head. And I actually did that a few times in the pool. Going forward, I would ask the council to ensure that city structures are maintained so such deterioration doesn't occur again in future. Being without a pool is unacceptable. I understand that the cost of repairs runs in the range of $1.2 million. That will allow for the fixing of the roof and supports, making the building safe. There will be other funds needed to update things later, but that is an immediate need. I would like to know if this is an accurate estimate. At this point, we don't need anything fancy, we just need safe. I don't care if things like the change rooms aren't refurbished, if this is just a cosmetic need. These investments could extend the life of the pool by 20 years. I am too old to wait years for a new recreation complex. I think even waiting for 9 additional months to hear about a private-public investment before deciding to repair the pool is much too long. I'm 84 years old and every minute counts. I ask the council to consider all options, such as using the reserve fund to begin immediate repairs to the Kinsman Pool. Thank you all for your consideration.
Thank you. We have Karen Walsh, followed by Claire Ulrich.
Good evening, I'm Karen Walsh. I live on Isabella Street. I'm not specifically talking about the pool. I'm going to do an overall for you. I know this budget was not fun for anyone. I recognize the city is between a rock and a hard place due to many years of perhaps some short-sightedness. Keeping our increase at 2% for whatever reason and not doing the infrastructure maintenance over the years is why we're playing catch-up now. I'm fully aware that the residents of Pembroke, who are 47% over the age of 47, or over the age of 50, we have to suck it up buttercup with this tax increase and likely the next several years in hopes of bridging the gap that has been widening for 40-plus years. We should not be paying the taxes equivalent to Ottawa or the GTA and not getting the same services. Sadly, the city will tax people out of Pembroke. I'd like to know what the city is actively doing to correct these inefficiencies, to bring the city into a better financial state. Or are we just going to keep cutting services until there are nothing left? It's like a home when the roof leaks. You repair it, you don't wait until the roof falls in and then wonder, why is it going to cost me so much to replace? What is the city doing to actively bring business, ones that employ more than 2 or 3 employees? For every cute little shop that opens up, 1 or 2 others close. That's not going to get us ahead. What is the city doing to bring younger demographic here to Pembroke, to work, buy homes, raise families, increase our tax base? Our aging population can't keep footing the bill. Every time I see a funeral, I think, oh, well, there's one less taxpayer. The population of Pembroke has stagnated for decades. 2021 census puts us at 14,364. That's 4 more people than when the city was incorporated in 1971. Yeah. Our pretty waterfront and heritage murals are not enough to attract people to Pembroke. The pool might help too. We need business, we need jobs. Honda's looking for an electric vehicle battery plant. Why not here? I understand Pembroke is working on renegotiating partnership agreements with TLV, some of which that have not been looked at in 10 years or more. Now, that's not acceptable. Agreements need to have regular reviews, say every 4 years. Long-term leases on properties like the Grind, a lease of $36 a year for 5 years while we pay the insurance and maintenance. The Farmers Market, a 35-year lease for $1 a year for 35 years. And again, the city is responsible for insurance and maintenance. I know that these are not-for-profit organizations, but let's be real. Leases should at least cover the cost of insurance and maintenance per year and not fully load the city. The Active Living Center pays $1,110 per month. And interestingly, the Senior Advisory Committee was cut basically in the first month of the new council. The majority of the budget is salaries, which run on par with municipalities 7 times our population. And while I do not dispute their value and their work ethic, I just can't kind of figure out how we have been able to afford to pay these and to wish list more employees and still not get service. Where's the inventory list of our properties and buildings? What is the market value of these properties? Are we stopped selling them for well below market value at a loss for the city? Do we actually know our property surveys so that we don't find out years later that PMC is actually on some private property and now we have to pay a little bit more for the snow removal there?
3 minutes is up, Karen.
Other people got more than 3. I'm going to finish there. It's true. I have no issue with increasing user fees or fines to reflect today's economy. I'll pay for what I use. It's sad the pool has to be closed indefinitely, and even sadder that many of the councillors ran on a new pool on their campaign for Pembroke to get your vote. They have been on council for years. We know they haven't been able to afford this. It's sad that our sidewalks are in such disrepair and not plowed for all of us. Much has been said about that during deliberations and the sidewalks and liabilities. It's sad we can't afford a transit system. Stagnant population. It has not increased significantly in 52 years. 1971, 14,360. There are no big plants here anymore. Businesses over the years have been turned away by Pembroke. For what reason? We need to say yes to business and progress in increasing our tax base. Commonwealth Plywood came back, but they went to the Quebec side, not back to Pembroke. I can certainly appreciate the comment from Madam Treasurer about sometimes wishing it was just one municipality. LV, Pembroke, perhaps even Petawawa. Maybe it's time to consider that. This would create a bigger bang for our buck. I appreciate all the work the Treasurer did and the city employees about this budget. Not an easy task. I also appreciate that through deliberation it was whittled down to 6.05 compared to 10. But moving forward, we have to do better for us ratepayers of Pembroke. No more let's wait till it crumbles beneath our feet to fix it. Pembroke has the potential to be great. We are the heart of the Ottawa Valley, but right now it's on life support and the pulse is pretty weak. We need our municipal leaders to lead, not just cut, not just do the same old thing just because it's always been done that way. This is 2024, not 1971.
Thank you, Karen. Claire Ulrich, followed by Michael Lucio.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening on behalf of our community. My name is Claire Ulrich. I live on Elizabeth Street in Pembroke. I would first and foremost like to say that I appreciate all that our council members do to weigh the options and make decisions with the best interest of our residents in mind. Most of what I'm about to say will have been mentioned this evening, may be slightly repetitive, and I'm not under any illusion that the council members hadn't already considered all of these things when making the difficult decision to close the pool. But I am here speaking tonight because I work in healthcare in Pembroke, have a master's in public health, and a great interest in just that, the health of our community. And if my words can offer any motivation to reconsider the pool closure, I would be grateful. It goes without saying that swimming is a vital component to both the physical and mental health of countless residents of both Pembroke and surrounding areas, as has been mentioned this evening. Of course, also, which has been mentioned, children in this area being surrounded by bodies of water would be at an extreme disadvantage and potentially in grave danger without the opportunity to participate in swimming lessons. Moreover, swimming is one of the few viable low-impact activities all year round for our aging population, which too has been mentioned. With nearly half of the city of Pembroke's population aged 50 plus, this demographic, I fear, will feel the effects the most. The UK conducted a large-scale review around the impact of swimming and aquatic activity on health, particularly how COVID-related swimming pool closures affected the health of UK citizens. Physically, participants reported experience increased back pain, weight gain, sustaining injuries due to trying other forms of exercise, and overall feeling less mobile. And some of the psychological impacts included low mood, loss of motivation, lack of routine, and reduced social interaction. This is something that is particularly concerning to me, as our aging residents are already at greater risk of depression, isolation, living in a remote and rural area, which would be exacerbated with the pool closure and limitation of both a social and physical activity. Finally, as I mentioned, I work for a family health team in Pembroke, and I don't think it's a secret, it's already been mentioned, that Renfrew County as a whole has had its fair share of difficulty recruiting healthcare professionals to the area. Losing our pool will not improve this situation, again, which has been mentioned, as many young professionals prioritize recreation opportunities when considering relocating to a new community. We, of course, want to keep the pool open for our existing Pembroke and surrounding residents, but I would argue that we should look beyond our residents and think towards the future and our ability to attract new professionals to the area when making this heavy decision. I recognize that that may be the intention of constructing a completely revamped recreation complex, but that's something we may not see come to fruition for up to 10 years. I feel it is critical to the health and well-being of our community that we explore and exhaust all funding opportunities for the repair and safe reopening of the existing pool while we investigate opportunities for an entirely new swimming pool or activity complex into the future. Thank you.
Michael, did I pronounce your last name correctly? Yes, you did. Okay, thank you. And after Michael speaks, we'll have Chris Roy or Chris Waugh? Chris Roy?
Either works.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Michael Lucio. I'm the president of the newly founded Pembroke Scuba Club. We've been working hard over the last year to become a registered non-for-profit business, securing insurance through the Ontario Underwater Council, and jumping through all sorts of hoops so that we could build a community of divers right here in Pembroke. Our hope was to have access to the facility that would allow us to improve safety through our sport for local divers through participating and training in the safety of our community pool. With the guidance of our more experienced divers, would also think this would be a great way to welcome new people to get involved in the sport in a safe, controlled environment. Unfortunately, with our local pool, our club may never become a reality, and many people who have shown interest in joining and learning the sport from Pembroke, Petawawa, Lantern Valley, and further, wouldn't have access to one of the best resources a diver can have, a community pool. The divers need a safe environment in which they can learn to participate in the skills necessary to become a safe, competent diver. The pool is an invaluable resource to new and old divers, whoever wants to get more comfortable in the water through public swimming, or just improve fitness through lane swimming in the pool. The Pembroke Scuba Club has hoped to eventually become a training club and host instructors from other areas. This would bring even more divers into Pembroke to take courses through certified dive agencies, courses that would otherwise only be available in larger places like Ottawa. In closing, I would like to say thank you to everybody and hope Pembroke City Council will find a way to keep the valuable community resource open, even if it means a temporary close to get the repairs done. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Chris Roy, followed by Nicole Shaw.
Hello? Can't believe I'm doing this. Oh, sorry, my name is Chris Roy. I live at 205 Dixon Street. Avid swimmer, really like swimming. Very surprised to be here. I always thought there was a plan that people would know what to do. And I'm shocked that right now I'm here to tell you guys, please, please, fix the pool. Don't, I just saw a whole list of denied. Just fix the pool. You have to put the money in to fix the pool. It needs to be safe, I agree, 100%. Keep it safe, but please, just fix the pool. No one's gonna give us money to build a new pool. It's not gonna happen, unless we can figure out how to become part of Petawawa Township, Laurentian Valley. It's not gonna happen. So please, look at all these people. Is everyone here enjoy swimming? Is that why we're here? And so quickly, so I've taken swim lessons all my life. That's how I got into swimming. I applied for a job as a lifeguard swimming instructor. I did not get the job. Sue Lance didn't give me the job, and I don't blame her. She made a good choice. But that's because there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of people that were qualified to do the job. I see some people sitting here too who work at the pool. And I read in one of the articles saying, you're gonna lose these people. And right now it seems like it's high school students that are coming in, they're working at the pool. If you close the pool for a long period of time, that's gone. Where are you gonna get the staff? These aquatic supervisors, where are you gonna find them? Sue Lance was great. I think the new one is Lori. Where are you gonna find these people to replace them? They're not gonna exist. So I just think, I mean, I always hoped we get a new pool, but I'm thinking now the realistic thing is, yeah, please, let's see if we can make it work, because we don't need anything fancy, just a pool. We need a pool for our kids, our community, please. And I'm gonna give some of my time to my wife.
So, my name's, taking my time. My name's Lindy Corrigan. I'm at the same address, and I grew up in Pembroke. Back in my day, we had a ski hill, a cinema, and a pool. Can you imagine? And I was hoping to provide my kids with the same background that I grew up in. And the pool, like has been said, is unlike the others because it represents a survival skill acquisition. So it's not like an arena. It's not like these other buildings. It's really important for health prevention and treatment, as Dr. Timpson had mentioned. And as a local family physician, I'm an advocate for the community, and I have concerns that the loss of affordable access to swimming lessons and supervised swimming safely will result in increased pediatric drownings. We live on the river. Healthcare retention was mentioned, and that was really really important. I was going to mention that too, but I think it's been mentioned. I do work with a lot of medical students, and I'm hearing, and these are the things they're looking for in a community. The numbers in the PowerPoint do not represent these hidden losses of people coming to our town to prevent to our income. We need to invest in the pool for these reasons. It looks like we're going to be spending $1.2 million anyways with a water of empty pool just sitting there in 6 years. So I think that we have to really rethink things. Lastly, please keep the pool open because I want to grow up to be just like octogenarian B right there.
Nicole Shaw, followed by Gail Cayenne.
Good evening. I would first like to say thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. My name is Nicole Shaw. I live on Poplar Ridge Road, and I come before you as a former lifeguard and swim instructor at the Kinsman pool. Currently, I teach for the Catholic District School Board and a local outdoor education center. In my educational roles, I frequently encounter high school students whom I previously taught swimming lessons to through elementary school programs offered at the Kinsman pool. Many students participating in these programs may never have had the opportunity to take swimming lessons or learn water safety due to financial barriers. Swimming lessons are vital for community safety, especially given our easy access to large bodies of water in this area. According to the Ontario Life-Saving Society, drowning is the second leading cause of preventable death for children under 10 in Canada. The programming at the Kinsman pool wasn't just about basic swimming skills. It included crucial water safety lessons through experiential learning. One noteworthy activity we taught was an ice simulation. We would set up a series of floating mats in the corner of the pool and have a cold hose running over the area. Through trial and error, students would learn that they needed to spread their body weight out in order to get out of the pool without falling through the ice. Learning through experience is a crucial part of children's development, and the pool provided ample learning opportunities for youth in order to prevent drownings. During my time at the pool, I met Jeff, who is here with me today. Jeff has been an athlete involved with Special Olympics for 30 years. In 2019, he qualified for swimming provincials, which were postponed due to COVID until May of this year. With the fall closure of the pool, the Pembroke and area Special Olympics swim team have been practicing here at the Clarion Hotel. Unfortunately, this hotel is not equipped for competitive swimming and is not accessible to all athletes, making it impossible for Jeff to access a suitable pool in our city to train for such a significant competition. When I asked Jeff about why Special Olympics is important to him, he emphasized that it is not only crucial for his health and fitness, but also for the community he has built over the past 30 years. The pool provides an inclusive space for the members of this beautiful city to come together, regardless of age or swimming ability. In Special Olympics, the power and joy of sport shifts the focus to what our athletes can do, not what they can't. Being part of a community gives people a sense of belonging, making them want to stay in an area because of the connections that have been made. In conclusion, I earnestly implore the Council to reassess the decision to close the Kinsman pool and to revisit the budget to identify potential funds that can be allocated towards a facility that promotes community connection and well-being. A dedicated group of passionate community members stand ready to spearhead fundraising efforts for the reopening of the pool as soon as possible. My hope is that we can collaborate with the City Council to transform this shared vision into a reality. I extend my gratitude to everyone for their time.
Gail Cayenne, followed by Derek Nearing.
Thank you for letting me speak today. Hello, my name is Gail Cayenne. I live at 309 Trafalgar Road. And thank you for inviting our organization to speak in support of our community pool. Pembroke and the surrounding area needs a recreational facility such as the Kinsman pool that is safe, accessible, affordable, and welcoming to all residents of the Pembroke and surrounding areas. Whether the Kinsman pool is repaired or new recreational facility is built, a pool is really needed. It is so important to many people as for their well-being. Community living provides services to to approximate 150 and their families, and the people benefit from swimming regularly. A public pool provides an opportunity to many new people or reconnect with friends or young and old. Provides important rescue and survive skills in instruction to support a safe community. Encourages fitness, health, and well-being for all the citizens. It is a therapeutic activity for seniors, people with physical disabilities, and mental health. Creates jobs for our youth and sets a strong foundation for career development. Provides training for developing athletes, like myself. Young families look for services for their children when they decide to move here. It would be a huge loss to our community not to have a public pool. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail. Derek Naring, followed by Matthias Summers.
Good evening. My name is Derek Naring, and I live on Fraser Street. After a 35-year career in the military as a physician assistant, I decided to retire here with my wife and my children because we thought it was a good place to live and a good place to raise our children with all the amenities available and what the city had to offer. I almost drowned when I first joined the Army, and I learned how to swim at the Kinsman pool. So when I returned back here, the first thing I did with my two children was to enroll them in swimming lessons. And the one thing is my career in the military was always focused on preventative medicine and not reactive medicine. So for preventative medicine, it means you're always doing fitness, swimming, running, and if you don't have the pool, you're going to be doing reactive medicine and you're going to fill the hospital up. So when we look at the pool and its programs, it's an invaluable asset to the greater Pembroke and Ottawa Valley community. They consist of the Special Olympics, Aquafit, therapeutic swims, lane swims, open swims. There's a 10-week learn to swim course for all the elementary schools in the area, and hundreds of kids each year learn to swim for free. There's an entire generation of Pembroke and Ottawa Valley children who will not learn to swim if the pool is closed. We're graduating about 350 students in the 4 high schools every year. We're hemorrhaging youth. We have nothing to retain them. And you think about when you were in high school, you don't remember physics or chemistry or math. What you remember is the memories you've made with your friends, and that's what a pool is. Before the pool was closed during COVID, was mentioned earlier, we were seeing 24,000 visits a year, according to the entrance counts. And I noticed from my time being there, I know all the lifeguards, and what the pool fosters is leadership in their youth through swimming lessons, lifeguard courses. It offers a mentoring system with the older lifeguards mentoring the younger, and then the younger children in the pool watching and wanting to emulate the lifeguards. There's a community of adults who bring their kids who sit around and they make friendships, lifelong friendships. And they talk with the children during the lessons, and it's a safe place for children to go. In conclusion, there's a saying that Desmond Tutu once said, "How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time." So the one bite we have to do is get the money to reopen the pool and then carry on the fundraising forward and not stop once it's open, but work towards a new one, no matter how long that takes. Thank you very much.
Our final speaker tonight is Bethia Summers, followed by comments from the Finance Committee members before we adjourn the meeting.
Thank you for having me here this evening. My name is Bethia Summers, and I have been a resident of Pembroke since 2011, when we were posted here, when my husband was posted here to Garrison Petawawa. We chose to live on Cecilia Street, 2 blocks away from the pool, because we were a 1-vehicle family with 2 small kids. So I could walk to the library, I could walk to the pool, I could walk to the park. Our bank was downtown at the time, and we could walk there. It was very important to us, and that's why we chose Pembroke, and specifically where we did. Over the past 10 years, we've taken swimming lessons, we've had family memberships. Both my husband and I have used the pool for rehab when we injured ourselves, and we have had a lot of family fun times there. It's provided our kids with life-saving skills and our family many years of affordable entertainment. The pool is an affordable, accessible activity that everyone in the community can benefit from. I can go swimming for an hour with my husband and my 2 kids for $20. I can't take us out to breakfast at McDonald's for that. So this is something that is an investment into the future of the community. My concern with the pool being closed while options for a new facility are explored and potentially built is that it would keep it closed for up to 8 years. Without a community pool, it will leave a whole generation of kids without swimming lessons, without job opportunities in lifeguarding, and without a reason to return to the area after post-secondary. When we moved here, the population was 14,500, and it has since dropped. We need to stop having the brain drain happen in our community. If you provide facilities where you can create positive memories, you'll see the youth return. They'll want to raise their families here in their hometown. This is an investment into the future, and I'm asking council to please invest in your citizens' physical and mental health. Invest in creating a community where people want to move, where doctors want to relocate their families, to invest in youth retention. Invest in increasing our population, invest in the pool. The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The next best time is today. So yeah, we could have started saving for the pool 20 years ago, but you know what? Here we are today. So let's dig in, invest today. I'm part of the community group that's looking at raising funds, raising awareness, and raising engagement in the pool. When you look at how engaged this community is around the pool, there was a book, and it was 13 ways to kill your community. One of them was don't engage your community. So let's not do that. Let's engage the community. Let's get them excited about the pool. And what you might find as well, if we can reopen the pool, raise some funds, next time we go for a grant to build a new facility, you can say, well, the community's behind us because they've raised X amount of dollars in the past number of years. Engagement and usage of the pool has gone up because before the pool closed, they had started offering different activities. So I would love to see the pool be reopened with the repairs and then work towards a new facility. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you to staff for doing this evening.
Thank you, Bethia. I would now ask to hear from the Finance Administration Committee members, maximum 2 minutes each. Mayor Gervais.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Really nothing to add. Thank you for all of you coming out and making your voices known so that we have that information. Thank you.
Councillor Giacono.
Thank you, Dip. Move forward, and it can happen because there's belief here tonight about fundraising, and the government likes to see that. When they say we've raised $1 million, they have a hard time saying we can't match that. Thank you. I'll have to determine that once we determine that. Are you addressing me personally here tonight? Yes, I am. I'm not making the vote tonight. I make it with the council. Thank you.
Councillor Keel.
Okay, the first thing I want to do is thank Karen Walsh for bringing this meeting to a larger level. So I think one of the things that we do need to recognize, and I'm not going to slam prior councils, but you first have to recognize that you're making mistakes before you can start fixing things. So at the end of the day, the fact of the matter is, we heard from the treasurer that we're not spending enough money on capital. Right now, it's the pool, that's the big thing. But tomorrow, it's going to be something else. So I think the first thing that we have to realize is that we need to start spending more in our facilities before they're at a complete breaking down position. That's why I am supporting looking at the P3, because as far as I can tell with municipal politics, things work really slow. And I'd rather us look at our two rinks before the time comes where some future city council is talking about whether or not we have to close it because something's going wrong. So in my opinion, this meeting's a lot more important than the pool. This council needs to have a fundamental shift in its thinking. And does that potentially mean slightly higher tax cuts? Well, I would have rather last year have a 3 or 4% tax cut, and then this year be looking at a 5 or 6% tax cut, than giving you a 2% tax cut last year, starting this council budget with a 9% tax cut. When I first started on this council, one of the first things I asked the treasurer was, why do we have a 2% budget last year when inflation was 7 and 8%? And the answer I got was, well, that's how we've always done it. That's what council wants. This council needs to have a shake of its head and to have a longer term approach in what it's doing. So I do disagree that we don't have to look at what's been done. We have to look at what's been done so we never do that again. In terms of this pool, I know the treasurer this afternoon put out a proposal. It takes the tax increase up to 6.5%, but it also asks the community and the broader community to potentially contribute 30% of the cost. If people in this room are saying, look, we can pull together and we can fundraise and we can make this a project, I will say to you, sir, I will change my vote. Because I'll talk to you later on that one. I'm presuming that it will go to the right place and the pool will be open. If it goes somewhere else, I'm certainly going to be about as pissed off as you probably will be. I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that. Basically, what I said was I'll change my vote to open the pool, not to just steal your money. So if the community's in for it, I'm in for it. My vote a couple weeks ago was, number one, we were told that it needs to shut down and the Ministry of Labor visited, so I'm not going to guarantee you it's going to open next week because I'm still not sure about the safety issues. But if we're saying we want a pool this summer, then I'm listening to you. Like I said, there's certainly, that certainly could have potential effects on future budget years. It might mean that we have to look at other things and put things off or whatnot. Making choices also means sometimes not getting other things done. But I'm hearing what you're saying. And again, I can tell you right now from talking with all of my counselors over the last week, none of us are opposed to a pool. The question is just how we do it, how quickly we get one open, and that's more of a budget question than a willpower question. And I know sometimes with a council, you have more of a willpower question. Ours is simply dollars and cents. So if the community's behind us, I'll be standing there right there with you.
Thank you, Councillor Keel. Councillor Lafreniere?
First off, I want to thank everyone for their respectful but passionate presentations. I know when it's something that you enjoy doing or your family does, it carries a lot of weight. For every one of you, unfortunately, this group is very passionate, but for every one of you tonight presenting for the pool, we are sure to hear from at least one per of you that's going to complain about the tax hike. That being said, I think we need to go forward and be raising the taxes more every year because the 2% tax hike of yesteryear is gone. And I won't apologize for that. I know the numbers are saying, oh, the council of the past should have did this. Well, if the dog wouldn't have crossed the road to have a pee, he'd still be alive today too. So we need to move forward. The reason we did that, we had our reasons for that. We had our reasons for that back then because individuals did not want their taxes going up. We were building a fire station, a police station. We had huge capital debentures. So we were just trying to do what every other municipality was doing, and that was keep their tax rate low. And if you check all the statistics of all the tax hikes throughout Ontario back in that time before COVID, those tax rates were very similar. So nobody was raising taxes for recreational facilities. And if you want me to apologize, I'll apologize. Recreation means more to me than you know. It's a huge part of my life. I will be supporting the repairs to the pool because I do feel strongly about recreation. I heard everything you said tonight, but don't think we're going to walk away from here and get no complaints from anybody else because there are individuals, absolutely, that don't want a tax hike.
That goes without saying, but you're hearing
Yeah.
that this community...
You can speak, there is time. If there's time,
No,
there's,
I just want
yeah.
to say that this community is behind you, and it's not just Pembroke. I'm from Chauvel, Quebec. I bring people here. So, and I'm in the senior swings. So I know that it's vital. And I'm recuperating. I have to have knee surgery. And without this pool, where do I go? The doctors in the room will agree with me that walking for me right now is not really a thing.
I understand.
So
Yeah.
I believe that if you engage your community, things will happen.
Well,
That's all
good.
I have to say.
I just want
Don't
to
look at
further.
the dollars and cents. Engage the community.
So not just the community, but the region. I totally agree with that, and I've been talking to individuals from Laurentian Valley and Whitewater and other regions to see their municipal leaders as well and say, Pembroke's ratepayers or population of 14,000 cannot support recreational facilities for 35,000 people. So thank you for tonight, and good night. And I don't know if there's time for individual speakers. I know on the agenda, but I'm not sure what the clock says right now.
We're at 8 o'clock, but we will be here after.
Can I speak?
Sure.
I'd like to. Okay, so my name's Scott McIver. I live on Eganville Road here in Pembroke. I didn't come up here with a speech or nothing, but I know every single one of you here is here for the same reason. And you guys are welcome to be here too. We've allowed you to be here. We pay you to be here, okay? So, most of you people here have kids, right? Am I right? Okay? So when you see these kids get in the pool, what's the first thing that happens when they get in the pool? There's a smile on their face. I think you guys get lost on that.
We have kids, we have grandkids.
I'm not trying to throw shade at the old timers here, but some of the things that happened in the past are the reason why we are here
Excuse
today.
me.
If you were a scholar and a gentleman, I'd listen to you, but you're not. You're a rabble
Okay.
rouser and a poop disturber.
Councillor Giacono. Okay.
At the end of the day,
Scott,
the people
please.
want a pool.
Scott,
okay?
please speak. Are you done? Thank you.
I'd appreciate not interrupting me next time. You interrupt the other lady.
Yes. Well, I could ask this, the CEO contacted the Eastern Ontario Director of the YMCA. And can you comment on that?
No, I'm not really prepared to report on that. Like, I know the YMCA was involved earlier on, but they are not right now.
Okay, thank you. I now ask Councillor Plummer to speak.
Okay, follow that. Well, I would just say, again, thank you everyone for coming. We certainly listened to you. We understand the great concerns. We also, as a council, are elected to keep the taxes under control and be respectful of every tax dollar we spend. Saying that, I think all council members have certainly heard the concerns and will work towards finding a solution that doesn't leave this community without a pool for 5 years. Thank you.
Councillor Purcell.
Thank you, Chair. I think you're just going to be cognizant
sorry. I think we just need to be cognizant that, you know, we have to look at those dollars. We can't just say build it. But we have to know where those dollars are coming from. And that's just being fiscally responsible in terms of the funds that you guys provide us in terms of our operation of our city. And also as a taxpayer within the city of Pembroke, I would demand that, you know, that there's value for the dollars that I spend in terms of, you know, the levy increases and those kinds of things. We have a lot of work to do. That $13 million isn't going to go away. And again, we need $1.5 million for our library. That's an important building as well. What about City Hall? What about Victoria Hall, PCC, the PMC? We need to have a longer term vision, and we need to start working towards how we're going to replace those facilities in the future. So I totally agree with what I'm hearing today. I understand the passion that everybody has for the pool. And what I would like to see is another opportunity to look at some additional funding. Again, there's the Trillium grant that's coming out in February. There's an opportunity to see how many funds that can be raised by community in terms of support, but we can't do it alone. So we need your help. And we're going to continue to need your help. We're probably going to come to you and say we're going to need help because we need to afford a replacement in terms of the floor at PMC. My concern about the repairs in terms of a structure does not necessarily mean that the pool is going to remain operational for the next 20 years. Yes, you have a structure that could last 20 years, but I can tell you that we're still going to have some significant investments if we continue to operate that pool into the future. And what I would like to see is really a focus in terms of replacement and really looking at a vision and ensuring that we have a strategy and a plan to move that forward. Can we do both at the same time? Maybe we can. But again, we all have to kind of understand that the dollars aren't there, and that the only way that we're going to get those dollars is through either financial contributions in terms of grants, volunteers that are actually donating their hard-earned dollars, and through our tax levies. My concern as a councillor is not just about the pool. It's how are we going to maintain the existing facilities and infrastructure that's rapidly deteriorating with $0 in terms of any dollars put away for replacement repairs. That's the challenge. It's not that we aren't passionate about what we want from the community. It's just that we need to have a strategy and work a plan. And it has to be fiscally responsible. We cannot run a municipality and just say, everybody's passionate about something, but we also have to understand where those dollars are coming from. Because, believe me, there are people in our community that cannot afford these types of rate increases constantly. They cannot do it. You know, we put $90,000 into a homeless shelter. You know, there's people that can't afford the groceries that they have in terms of their table. So we just need to be cognizant of that. And that's why, you know, if we can come up with those dollars, and I will be the first one to provide that support in terms of doing whatever fundraising that we need to do, but it can't be done on the backs in terms of levy increases is what I'm getting at. It just can't be done. Thank you.
Okay, I'll allow a couple of questions before I speak. You were first, sir.
Why can't we amalgamate they've grown 10 times what we've grown. They have nothing. They use all our facilities. And they pay what? I think it was 30%?
Yeah, 200 and, what's the agreement? 230,000 plus 30% of capital, capped at 59 grand.
Mayor Gervais will respond.
No, No, I don't mind answering now. The way the municipal act is written at the present moment, and trust me, I've talked to the ministry, is that it has to be two willing partners. In other words, even if City of Pembroke is willing, Township of Laurentian Valley needs to be willing in order for that process to happen. Otherwise, the province will not step in. So under Premier Harris, there was forced amalgamations. The City of Pembroke was not picked up as one of them. So that's the present municipal act. That's how it's written. And yes, I've talked to the ministry.
Sir?
What's happening to disqualify us from qualifying? Like, what are we doing and what can we do to turn that around?
Yes. Go ahead.
Thank you. So after any grant that's applied for the City of Pembroke staff are very diligent that if we don't get it, they hound the ministry until such time as we're given an answer. Is it that the grant wasn't completed correctly? Is it that, what is the rationale? And the rationale that was provided in terms of the previous grant applications is that we weren't shovel ready, meaning there was no design. We weren't ready. And so as you can appreciate, the federal and provincial government puts out a certain amount of money. And there's lots of municipalities applying for that same money. So if a municipality is shovel ready, is ready to roll, then they are more apt to get the funds rather than a municipality that isn't. But it isn't, as I said earlier in the comments, it isn't for a lack of trying. It isn't for a lack of having ad hoc committee meetings with other municipalities. It isn't for a lack of trying to work with other partners, and that means sometimes organizations, not just municipalities. It is trying to be proactive. It is trying to get to that particular threshold. It is having conversations with ministers. Trust me, there's enough other conversations that the public generally doesn't see, but is going on behind the scene to try and make it as advantageous as possible to try and secure the funding. But that is the indication that was given in the last go-around, is that we were not shovel-ready.
Thank you. So I'd like to, oh, yes, sir.
Sorry, I'm just wondering.
I'll stand before you guys before I stand before a room of hockey players. I think the hockey uptake I think is absolutely there for two rings, and I think there's good reason to believe that Westmeath is also going to be losing their rink, also potentially Beachburg, and I know a lot of Pembroke people play in those leagues as well. So I think the numbers. I think the numbers support it, but certainly we can.
Sorry, I don't mean to be, just because it's critical, right? The pool is critical. Those are fair, which I'm not really sure what fair means, but anyway, if there's any way to maybe get some money from there.
Well, and certainly right now nothing in the budget is is spending millions on those at the moment. So those are future discussions. For future discussions, and certainly those future discussions are going to take into account we'll probably still be talking about a pool in one way or another, but we're going to be talking about all of recreation, our facilities.
So I'd like, okay, yes, go ahead.
Lifeguards that are training, are you gonna keep the beach open and keep lifeguards and the waiting pool?
Perhaps I'll ask that to the, through the chair to Mr. DeRoche from the Recreation Department.
So just through the chair, so just to answer your question about the waiting pool, essentially the short answer is that if we have staff, we'll keep it open. If we don't have staff, we can't run it. With the Riverside Park, it's not, the depths aren't significant to run swimming programs there. The depths are not significant, so we can't run life-saving programs there. So as of right now, no, because we need staff to be able to operate that.
Thank you. So I'd like to have some closing remarks. I want to thank everyone for coming tonight, and you can still submit your comments in writing to pembroke@pembroke.ca via Canada Post, excuse me, or by dropping off your comments at City Hall during regular business hours. Speaking as second-term councillor, and as chair of the Finance Committee, it's a tough decision for when I voted on it, I was in favor of the repairs, I still am, but I was also in favor of the closing it because of the liability risk. It's a huge liability. I am committed to, first of all, finding the money for the repairs, but had the repairs gone through, it would have been, a tax increase of over 8%, 9%. But I am confident that we can find the funds within the budget and with community support to reopen the pool. And the plan that I see is to have it open, have it repaired, and then reopen it, and have it open while we're searching for another option via P3 or a standalone pool. If the P3, I'm going to speak to the P3 in a minute, but if the P3 does not go through, I am still committed to a standalone pool at Kinsman Park for the city of Pembroke. I know we have the community engagement to make that work. The Kinsman building, once it's fixed, once the repairs are done, could be refurbished into, and we've talked about this in the public, online and whatever, could be refurbished into another recreational facility, a community center, or whatever the community deemed feasible. Pickleball, gymnasium, but that would cost money too to get that refurbished, but at least we have a solid building. I think when we got the report from the treasurer in September about asset management and all these millions of dollars that need to be paid out in the next 20 years at the PEMICE 2 and the PMC and the library, I got thinking about what do other communities do? What do they do across North America? So public-private partnership. And, some people, maybe we need more, I can put on my Facebook page more information about it, but basically, we don't have the money to go and build all these facilities. So public-private partnership is a way where we partnership with someone and they run the facility and they do the programming. Every deal is structured differently. Maybe the city can provide services to them. Maybe the city will run the pool, the private partnership will run the arena and the AstroTurf, whatever is decided. But I will tell you one thing, the public-private partnership will only work, a sports complex, if it's a regional facility. If it's just Pembroke, it will not work. If Laurentian Valley, Bonnechere Valley, North Algona, all have to commit. And all it's going to do is start a discussion with a potential partner. If it falls through, at least we've tried. If that falls through, we circle back and look at it. We look at a new pool. But in the meantime, we want to commit to repair the pool. It's all a matter of cost. And I spoke to some residents this weekend, and they said, "I don't use the pool, and I don't want a huge tax increase." And I said, "Well, we're trying to balance it here. It's like saying, I don't want a library." But we subsidize the library in over $550,000 a year. It's a cultural hub, it's an educational hub, and believe me, I want to have a pool. We all want to have a pool, and I know that we can do it, and we want to find the money in the budget to do the repairs, hopefully with some community support. We can only build what we can afford. Just to note, Perry Sound got $20-some million a few years ago from the government, but they had a down payment of millions of dollars. So they put in $1 million. The area neighboring township, Sagan Township, put in $900,000, and all these other townships put in money. So when they went to the government, they had a down payment. We don't have a down payment. This council is the first council that decided to start a pool reserve. The last council, 2018 to 22 term, I spoke with Mayor LeMay and said, we need a pool reserve. So this council supported that, and we started one. So it's a start. So we're the council of the day. We can't look back and say, why this, why that. We have to show leadership, and we have to work together as a community to move forward and try and find the money in the budget for the repairs. Once the repairs are done, open the pool and keep it open while we're looking at this other option. So let's get behind the P3 and the new pool and the repairs and work together to build a community for everyone. So I would ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Councillor Keel, seconded by Councillor Frenier. Those in favor? We are adjourned.